I do feel like it may come down to them too, but there's a
Hmm.
third alliance that is just completely wrecking everything. And when I say that, I mean in a good term. They're wrecking everybody in their path pretty much. And that would be AvC.
I see we don't have many matches that are well matched actually in the Vanguard division, at least in the All State. It seems that big alliances are mostly fighting small alliances, so we can't exactly know what will happen when the big ones fight the big ones. What do you think?
So, my opinion on the winning, most people usually automatically go to, what a lot consider the big alliance, alliances, I should say, sorry. You got the main two that most people automatically go to, which is TW6 and NNW. I do feel like it may come down to them too, but there's a
Hmm.
third alliance that is just completely wrecking everything. And when I say that, I mean in a good term. They're wrecking everybody in their path pretty much. And that would be AvC. With them having Bevins, them having Queenie, them having Mia, and then Terry, I know is a very big base, and then I believe Salem is a very big base, and then probably a lot of mid-range bases as well too. I know we were on the butt kicking end of AvC like 3, 4 seasons ago. Fun
Yeah,
season, don't get me wrong, but they completely obliterated us, and
and
this was before they had Bevins.
and there is
Um,
NKC now also.
yeah,
NK.
so NKC, I do believe is incredibly strong. I don't know much about NKC as a whole alliance, so I don't want to comment on it too much and be wrong. I know they have what's his name, Sonic, correct?
Yes, Sonic.
Which is a Mars double, right? Pretty much maxed
Hmm.
everything, all around the clock. But do they
Hmm.
have a lot of mid-range support as well? Because one base only has 4 APCs. So if you have a mirror base between like Mars and Sonic, 4 and 4, but then Mars has high tech, Buddy, so on and so on. It's fairly easy who can control the map a little bit more at that point. Again, I don't know NKC much, so if they do have a big mid range of bases, again, my apologies. I can't speak on that alliance too much. I do know a lot about TW6 and NW, AvC. Um, I just never really done a lot of research on NKC yet. I know
Yeah,
that's a
right.
Chinese stick purely, right?
Yes, the state is limited to Chinese, so we cannot migrate to that state, but only the states that are reserved for Chinese can migrate to NKC. And that has been a big issue in Chinese state, not to be able to recruit internationally. So they have a hard time to build a fully active alliance because of that.
Correct, correct, correct. Now is that okay? That's NKC you have pulled up right there.
Yeah, I wonder if I can see the result of the last All-Star matches since I'm in Group 3. And can we see how many active players were here? No, we can't. We can't.
Jarvis
So,
said I was angry I couldn't even go when I was invited.
hmm. Yeah, but there is also base market for the Chinese state that is obviously not in the same place that the base that you can buy for the international state. And because it's so much harder to find buyer because you are limited to one country, the bases
Yeah,
can be stronger for a cheaper price. It's just that if you buy a base in a Chinese state, then you are going to be stuck in the Chinese states, but you can get stronger bases for cheaper. At least it was like that last time I checked.
wow. I mean, which is pretty understandable because you're pretty much having a handicap on that base. Immediately you're stuck, if you buy it. So now when you say cheaper, you mean overall buying the base. You're not speaking of like cheaper packs or anything like that. You
No,
just
no,
mean
no.
buying,
I,
correct?
I'm talking about buying the base, so the players market. About the packs, there are obviously rumors, like a lot of rumors about packs being cheaper in the Chinese state, and this is not true. But what happens is like, when you buy a packs, you buy it on Google Play or on Apple Store because your game was English word, downloaded on this store. So if you downloaded the game on Google Play or Apple Store, there's like a 30% or something, or maybe it's even more, that of your pack that is going to Google Play or Apple Store. But in China, there are multiple stores that are being used by the players. So they can have a different store than Apple Store on or Google Play. And this store will take lower percentage of the money that is spent for a pack. So some stores are able to do big promotion on packs. So that's how Chinese players get cheaper packs. It's just that they are using a different OS, they are using different, and it gets them some deals.
Okay. See, now I remember back in the day, I mean, this was quite a while ago, AO, when he was streaming back then, was talking about, was it like, and I may say the name wrong, so don't scrutinize me on this
It
one,
was
but like
Huawei App Gallery. They sponsored me too, because they were trying to expand on other. Wait, I'm trying to turn a noise gate at the same time. Sorry. They were trying to expand in different markets, and especially the European market. But Huawei were not doing that correctly. Like what they were trying to do, instead of bringing new players from players who had Huawei store, they were trying to poach player from La Shelter. Like let's say you downloaded the game through Google Play. Okay, and Huawei would say, erase the game from your phone, download Huawei App Gallery, re-download the game, and then buy pack through Huawei App Gallery. So you get cheaper pack. It's win for the player. It's win for Huawei App Gallery. But La Shelter is pissed because they are giving a deal to Huawei for Huawei to bring them new players. And Huawei was kind of doing dirty to La Shelter. So that's why the deals ended.
I was wondering because at one point, I mean, they were up to like, weren't they at like 50% off packs or something for like first users or something like that, right?
They are taking, Huawei App Gallery are taking a lower percentage from the pack than other app stores, but also they have a VIP program. So if you are playing games through Huawei App Gallery, you get in this VIP program, and the more you spend, the more bonus you get. So every month you get some coupon to get cheaper packs. So it works for all the games in Huawei App Gallery. So it was something that was possible at some point, and I used it a lot. But now not anymore, because Last Shelter doesn't want to deal with Huawei anymore.
Yeah, see, I was always wondering, you know, I did back then when he was doing that, I was just a very, very small spender, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 at max a week, you know, so I never really got into it and didn't really understand it, nothing like that. Definitely wish something like that was still available, but understandable though, you know, Shelter can't sit there and just lose all its money to another gap or another app like that. So I guess it is what it is.
Yeah, but yeah. Huawei App Gallery sponsored many of the Last Shelter streamers.
Back to your question. I know we kind of trailed off a little bit. You asked me who I think is going to win.
Yeah,
Okay, so
and we talked about TW6 and NNW, AvC, and we don't see NKC as a winner again because of the lack of migration.
correct. Yeah. So that's my thought process is, you know, big shot that it's really just going to come down to NNW and TW6 like usual. But do not sleep on AvC because, you know, I know back when they were it was either CMN or CNM. It was one of the two. But
Oh yeah.
you know, they surprised the community. See, that's actually who AvS is CNM or CMN, whatever it used to be called. In the chat, if you guys remember which one it was the M first or the N first? They completely surprised the community like 2-3 all-stars ago and shot all the way up to like second or third or something like that. And they were just a smaller alliance, but they were like robots on clockwork. You know, their rallies were on point, timing the towers 1 second after towers were built, and this and that. And you know, they were pretty much showing strategies that had
Oh,
strategies that haven't been really thought of yet, or at least discovered, you know? So they were just running maps back then, and they didn't even have the strength. They only had, I think, at that point, I think their biggest base was Baby Shark. This is way before Mia, way before Zalem, way before, you know, the big migration that they had. So,
Right.
you know, CNN or CNN, you know, definitely was a great alliance, very well organized. And then once they got in all the bigs, they've just become, like I said, a complete wrecking ball.
Right. Honestly, in the past All-Star, I made so many betting coins on betting on AvC because they were always overlooked because they are not into all the Last Shelter drama, so they are not in all the chats, chatting all the time, so they are misknown by the community. And the community, they don't bet on them because I don't know them well. But I think it's kind of changing because now I don't make as much all-star coins on with betting on AvC as I did.
So NNW and
Okay.
AvC both won three. So I take
Yeah,
it they didn't face each other, right?
they didn't face each other, and we will know soon if they each other. Oh no, wait, 1, 2, 3 round. So they will go in quarterfinals, right? Yeah, next is quarterfinals, so they won't face each other now. We will see the new groups, I think, for quarterfinal.
Oh my
Hi,
God.
Manny. Yeah, he seems to be spamming you. What do you mean? You have to go check on this?
No. They're just letting
Okay.
me know they're
Okay. So
so
we can continue to be nerds.
yes.
That's
Little
the
do
most
they know I'm
important.
down here video gaming it out.
Okay, so we watch AvC. They won't win, but they are really worth watching. And because they are kind of winning matches that they won many times when they were, people would bet they would lose. So maybe we have something to learn in their strategy. So we have to watch them next time.
Yeah, so I think that's a very good idea. You know, watching some of these big alliances, especially the ones that have been known to be, you know, a very well organized and well rounded alliance like AvC. I think it is very beneficial to watch people like that because, you know, let's say they it really kind of does stink they didn't get to go against NNW this bracket because they would have still, you know,
Mhm.
progressed regardless. But that would have been
Yeah,
a very, very good match to watch. See
yeah,
the strategy, see, you know,
totally.
how do they counter each other? Yes, NNW overall is going to have more strength than AvC, but again, the strength is huge in Oblivion. Don't get me wrong, but strategy is key in Oblivion.